Now, in today's video, I'm going to show you why women only genuinely want men that they can go emotionally weak for. So the things that I'm going to be showing you on today's marker board presentation, this is not evil, this is not manipulative, this doesn't make you a bad guy. This is the cold hard facts of what women respond to. If you want to be the type of guy that a woman can look up to, the type of guy that a woman genuinely loves, and the type of guy that a woman has strong intimacy and feelings for, this is where you're going to want to pay attention to me step by step. Now, after this video is done, what I also want you to do is I want you to hit the link in the description and check out the MBT webinar, because the results that I see guys getting with MBT, masculine behavioral techniques, like take a look at Tom. Girl he's been seeing, he goes, after the last time we ended up smashing 2 times and she called me Hercules, LOL. Since I obviously play my cards right from day one, I now have a girl that is super loving, super caring, and feminine towards me, and it feels effing amazing. I see results like this every single day, so once I'm done showing you today's presentation, I want you to hit that link in the description and check out MBT below. Now, every single man on planet Earth, you have to understand this. I'm going to show you why women only want men that they can go emotionally weak for. Okay, this is a this is a super important topic, because in order to truly get a woman hooked on you, or in order to truly make a woman obsessed and genuinely want you on the deepest level, you have to know how to do this. So what I'm going to be showing you is step by step how you can do this at any level. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is why they want to actually go weak for a man. This is going to go against probably everything that you've ever learned and everything that anybody's ever told you about how relationships and love genuinely works in the eyes of a woman. But what you have to understand is power over a woman's emotions is the only thing that can truly satisfy hypergamy. Now, hypergamy is when a woman looks up to a man and genuinely feels that she is winning, okay, or she feels like he is the prize. This is 100% necessary. Having the power over a woman's emotions is the only thing that satisfies this. So you can watch all the videos you want on looks, money, and status, and none of that is going to make a shit of difference when you realize that the only man that they can truly submit to on the deepest level is the man who has the power over their emotions. So when you have this, okay, it shows her on the deepest level that she needs him more than he needs her. So if you're a man going through life and you genuinely don't give one fuck, and what I mean by that is you genuinely don't care if a woman is in your life or if she's not, you genuinely live life on your own terms, you live in abundance, okay, and you demonstrate that you have abundance of options by not being overly needy and specifically wanting a specific woman, this is going to signal high value. This is going to signal to a woman that, hey, he's indifferent towards me regardless of my beauty. Therefore, he must not even be on my level. He must be above my level. Therefore, I want to look up to him. This is how you slowly gain the power. If she can look up to him, she's going to desire him. So a woman has to be able to look up to you. And what you're slowly going to realize is that in every single relationship or in every single interaction that you're ever in with a woman until the day you're dead, okay, until the day that you're in the grave, a man must have the leverage. The second that you do not have the leverage in a relationship is the second that the shit tests start harder. This is the second that the woman starts to sex withhold at an even deeper level. And this is when she genuinely wants to start lining up your replacements. You as a man, you have to have the leverage. That means the second that you go all lovey-dovey, the second that you act like some emotional buttercup Pillsbury doughboy is the exact second that she's looking for a real man. So what you have to understand is, like, everybody to some degree is a victim of their own circumstances. For some of you, if this is brand new information to you, okay, what you have to understand is this goes deep into the wiring of probably how you were raised, what you've seen on television, and the surrounding life that you've had as to where you've lived in your circumstance. To some degree, these things aren't your fault because you only know what your eyes and what your ears have seen and heard. Therefore, the first step in actually overcoming this and understanding how to gain the emotional power and the leverage in your relationships with women is you have to scrap your old belief and your old identity system, and you have to start to implement new ones. So, a man that a woman can go weak for, okay, this signals that he is higher value than her. A woman wants to truly look up to a man and go, damn, he's better than me. He's better than me in all of these areas in life. He genuinely doesn't need me, okay? When this happens, this is how a woman genuinely tries to be an asset to your life, okay, instead of making your life harder and more difficult. When a woman knows how to be an asset to your life, she's going to do things for you, she's going to genuinely be there for you, and she's going to love you on the deepest level and support you. So, how do you do this? Or why is this important? Because a female's emotions in all levels, okay, she has to somewhat be in chaos. She's going to have to somewhat have uncertainty, and she's going to somewhat have to be have a fear of loss of losing you. So when you have these three things in this specific order, what is number one? Chaos, okay, when she doesn't know where she stands with you. Uncertainty, meaning that she's uncertain if this relationship will continue or if you're going to see other women or not. Okay, and fear of loss equals fear of losing you. These are the only things that will equal love in a woman's brain. If you don't have this combination right here, okay, and you need to keep this combination in your mind at every single step of every text message, every single phone call, okay, exactly like how you guys are intimately touching, all of that. The second that you start giving up your leverage and you start to implement feminine energy to where you're actually trying to earn her validation and to earn her respect, this is where the whole relationship dynamic gets reversed, and all of a sudden you're going to be left for a man who's higher value. So this is the why. This is why they want to go weak for a specific man. Now, here's the benefit to you. Okay, the benefit to you is you're going to have to understand the who. The who means how do you turn into that man, or the who means who is the specific type of man she's going to go weak for. These are the only men that they go weak for, and here's the benefit to you, okay? Women can typically only focus on one man at a time, which means that women are never really looking for abundance of options. What women are really looking for is in the abundance of options that they have, they want quality, the highest value man that they can get. If you start to implement and demonstrate these things that I'm about to show you, you now start to shift that leverage in her brain, and all of a sudden you have the leverage to where you are the quality of man, or the quality of guy that she's looking for in the sea of guys who are ready and willing to take her out on a date, or ready and willing to be there for her at the drop of a hat, which is what she doesn't want. So what's the who? Who are the only types of men that a woman can go weak for? I put a star by this because it's that drastically important. If you're taking notes, write this down. The only type of man, okay, that a woman can go weak for is a man whose feelings are indifferent towards them regardless of her beauty. Read that one more time because that's worded beautifully that's poetry that I wrote this morning. A man whose feelings are indifferent towards them regardless of her beauty. That means you don't give one fuck if she's a Brazilian swimsuit model. You don't give a single fuck if she's a Victoria's Secret model. Okay, you are not going to turn into an emotional buttercup just at the first sight of a woman's beauty. Men whose feelings are indifferent towards them regardless of her beauty. This means that you do not treat this woman any different than you treat your brother, your sister, your grandma, your mom, your friend, your coworker. You treat her like an average, everyday, normal human being. This is what she wants. A woman does not want to feel better than you. The second that a woman feels better than you is the second that that relationship is counting down towards the end. So this is important because her beauty must become powerless to you. When a woman's beauty becomes powerless to a man, like she can seriously tell that he does not give one flying fuck how pretty she is, how curvy her figure is, how nice her smile is, how sweet her words are, when he doesn't care and he's completely indifferent. Okay, her beauty must become powerless to you. See, guys, this is when you start to get the labels. What are the labels? The labels are the things that she tells her girlfriends over Snapchat. The labels are the things that she tells her friends in the group text message. The labels are the things that she tells her best friend or her coworker or her sisters about. This is the shit that's important. This is when you're going to get the labels like, he's so mysterious, okay? Or he has so much charisma. Or he's like a real man. I've never met a guy like this before. Because what women are used to is women are used to guys who have an abundance of options. Or what they're used to is they're used to men who are quote unquote high value on paper, which means they might be guys who have looks, money, or status. But these are men who are emotionally weak at the deepest level, and they're fighting tooth and nail to get her out on a date. And since she can sense that weakness, since she can sense that he does not have abundance of options, she disregards him altogether. This is why, truthfully, if you can frame yourself in the way that I'm showing you, regardless of height, regardless of money, regardless of income potential, or regardless of status, or even attractiveness on the physical level, if you can start to get your foot in the door and you take a woman out on 1 or 2 dates and you can show her that you're indifferent towards her, this is the quickest way to reverse the leverage to where instead of her having the upper hand, you actually start to have the power and the control in the relationship, and all of a sudden her emotions start to work towards you in your favor. So this is extremely important. When you get hit with these labels, mysterious, I don't know where I stand with him, okay, he's so charismatic, he's a real man. Okay, this is what they consider high value. So why do I have they underlined 3 times? Because this is not about what you consider high value. This is not about what the dude who drives the Bugatti considers high value. This is not what your dad considers high value. This is not what the entrepreneur who is rich in your hometown considers high value between other men. This is what the women consider high value, okay? So if you want to actually demonstrate love in a woman's brain that she has towards you, women only want men that they can go emotionally weak for. And I'm telling you these cheat codes because you can do this at any age, any height, and with any sort of muscular physique or not, at any income level. This takes you having to actually understand how to get her emotions to work towards you in your favor. So this is what women consider high value, not what you consider high value. There's a big difference. Why is this so important? Because hypergamy or hypergamy, however you'd like to say that, is a feeling. It is not a status level. See, we live in a world right now where you're consistently told that if you make $1 million a year and if you're super jacked and you're tall, all of a sudden you're a high value guy. But then those are the same types of men who don't understand why they either A, can't keep the relationships that they want stable, or B, still run into the exact same issues that they run into down the road, even before that they had any of these materialistic levels of status to begin with. So, hypergamy is a feeling. She's not going to be able to articulate it. She's not even going to tell you why she likes the guy. She's just going to say blanket statements because she can't even articulate her own emotions. She's going to say things like, he's so mysterious, or I just can't stop thinking about him, or he's different. It's going to be very, very watered down. But at the deepest level, this is what it's signaling. It's signaling that he is higher value than me. He's higher status than me. For whatever reason, I can't stop thinking about him. I don't hear from him very often. His time is super limited. He's not easy for me to get a hold of. He seems as if he could come and go at any fucking moment. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to hear from him next. I don't even know when I'm going to see him next. But every single time when we're together, it's like we have this crazy sexual chemistry and all of a sudden it's like, I can't get enough of him. This is the type of shit that needs to be flowing through her head. If this type of shit is not flowing through her head, this is where you're going to be left for a different guy. And here's the sad thing about this. The deeper levels of monogamy that you get, if you're dating a woman consecutively for 6 months, a year, going to be harder and harder to keep this. If you want to be married one day, damn near impossible. Women will typically despise the men who commit to them. And women will fantasize sexually about virtually every single man out there besides the guy who's laying next to her in bed sleeping every single night beside her, who pays the electricity and the heat bill and the mortgage. Like, this is just the basic understanding of how you have to come to accept that women are. So, over in this column was why they want to go weak. Over in this column is the only types of men who they go weak for. So this is the who, okay? This is the mysterious man who has charisma, who is indifferent towards her, and whose feelings are indifferent towards them regardless of her beauty. Very important concept to understand. Now, you might be sitting here wondering, well, Casey, I've been in a relationship for 3 months, or I've been in a relationship for 6 months, or I've been dating a girl for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. I don't care if you've been fucking married for 20 goddamn years. You need to understand that there's repercussions if you do not get her weak emotionally. I don't care how, I don't care if that sounds manipulative, because it's not. This is truly what they want. And you might be sitting there going, well, how do you know this is what they want, Casey? Well, because every single time that you don't have the upper hand and she has the leverage over your emotions, you'll notice that the relationship is over typically between 2 to 4 weeks. This is how quickly this shit can happen. So pay attention, because I don't care if you have 5, 10 years of history or marriage with a chick. The second that she knows where you stand, you can count down to the end of that relationship in a quick hurry. Here's the repercussions if you do not get her emotionally weak. It's very, very simple, and then it's even simpler to understand how to pass all of these tests. The repercussions are mainly these three. The first is you're going to notice sex withholding and lack of desire. So sex is going to be withheld from. She lacks genuine desire. Before, it's like you guys couldn't get enough of each other. She would just hop in the shower and bang you sporadically. She would come over to your house at 9, 10 o'clock at night after work and hop in the sheets with you. Okay, you're going to notice that when you start to get weak emotionally, she loses desire. Now, in the beginning, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's out sleeping with anybody else. She's probably hoping that you turn your shit around, especially if she still likes you somewhat. But this is what you're going to notice. She's going to close off sexual access to you, because you got to understand this at the deepest level. When a woman closes off sexual access towards you, that is a slap in the face to your biology and your ego, looking at you saying, hey, you are too weak to deserve me. Like, I do not even want your genes potentially passed to me. Like, that's what it actually symbols at the highest level. At the highest level, what it actually signals is, hey, you are not good enough from a potential reproductive standpoint where I even want to consider having sex with you right now. That is actually what her biology is. That is why she's closing off towards you. You became a weaker option. Since you became a weaker option, she literally can't love you the way that you love her. A woman is not programmed to love you. See, this is the hardest thing that guys have to understand too. She's not designed to love you. A woman will never randomly just wake up and consistently love you as a man every single day. You have to consistently perform. You have to consistently prove that you are of the higher value. The second you stop performing and proving that is the second that she looks for a man who is performing and proving that. So you got to understand this too. If you really want to have some big, long, monogamous, committed relationship with a woman, you're going to have to know that you're going to be tested harder. You're going to have to know that it's probably going to be more difficult to get sexual access in the long run, and the juice probably isn't even worth the squeeze, because truthfully, a woman is not programmed or designed to love you. That's a conversation for a different day. Here's the repercussions, okay, if you go emotionally weak. The first is sex is going to be withheld from. The second is you're tested at an even harder level. So when I say you're tested at an even harder level, what that means is the shit tests start to amp up. She starts to take digs at your personality. She starts to maybe even display nagging behavior, or she gets randomly put off and she gets like aggressive even verbally. These are things you're going to see. Or the last and the worst is she'll potentially seek new men. So here's a pro tip. You might be saying, well, Casey, what's the quickest way I can just get rid of all this and put a big X through it so that doesn't happen? The quickest way not only is by remaining indifferent towards her beauty like I just showed you, but it is to never get emotionally attached. See, when you get emotionally attached, this shows up through your sub-communication, this shows up through your eye contact, this shows up through how you're trying to hold hands, this shows up for how you even try to kiss, this shows up through your text messaging, this shows up through your phone calls, this shows up through the deliverability and the cadence of your voice. Women are not dumb. The psychological and subconscious nuances of your emotions that you demonstrate towards her are the biggest deciding factor for if she likes you or not. So, if you understand this, that a pro tip is to never get emotionally attached, she starts to see that since you're not emotionally attached, you probably have women at her level or above her, which means your sexual market value is revealed that it's truthfully higher than what she thought it was instead of lower. Guys who get emotionally attached, here's what happens. If she viewed you as a 9 or a 10, a guy that she'd be sleeping with consecutively, it slowly starts to drop to a 7, then a 6, then a 5, and then the end of the relationship is somewhere along there. So you cannot, like, a man needs to be logical and rational with his own rationale and reasoning. That means you are not made to be guided by your emotions in any way, shape, or form. And the second you go emotional for a woman, you're screwed. So never get emotionally attached. Now, I'm gonna teach this at an even deeper level. What's the game in a nutshell? Like, this right here is the game. This is all there is to the game, and this is what the game has always been with women for the men who deserve sexual access or not. Okay. The game in the beginning, when you're with a woman on the first probably 1 to 5 dates, is going to be shit tests, okay? And that means her attraction level towards you, okay? If she views you as an 8, 9, or 10, is going to dictate how fast you guys probably sleep together and how quickly you pass these tests. The beginning is shit tests. Basic shit tests like, is this guy going to check me if I say something off-putting? Is he going to call me out on my bullshit? Okay, does he have the natural cockiness and arrogance to act like he's entitled to me or he deserves me on this date? Does he carry himself with bravado? What she's really screening for with these initial shit tests is this guy on my level? If she shows up late, do you check her and do you say something about it? If she starts to be rude to you, or she starts to try to pick fun and make jokes at you or make fun of what you're wearing or certain shit like that, or makes fun of your shoes or the color combination of what you're wearing, is this a guy who's going to get emotionally moved off center and reactive? Or is this a guy that ignores it and basically has the attitude of piss off, I don't even care? If you can display this arrogance and this bravado, you pass the shit tests, you act as if you're outcome independent instead of outcome dependent, you're probably going to have sex with her within the first couple weeks after getting to know her, okay? Then right here, sex happens. Once sex happens, there's a shift. The shit tests are now over, okay? Shit tests are completely over. You had sex with her. You proved that you were worthy of sexual access as a man. You're the type of guy that she wants to probably continue to invest in emotionally. Now there's only one other test. Now the shit tests are in the beginning. Now the back half of the test, depending on how long you're with this woman, can happen from day one after sex happens until you're in the grave if you guys are with each other till death do us part. The only type of test you're going to deal with forever at this point is if you're whipped. Whipped tests. She's testing to see if you're whipped and if you're emotionally attached or not. What this looks like is from time to time, if you guys are seeing each other consistently, she's going to randomly pull back. In my whole life, okay, every single girl I've ever dated, from when I was young in my teens until now 10 years later, every girl I've ever slept with in my whole life, from time to time has pulled back, and they will pull back from you too, especially if you're consistently seeing them. This is on purpose. They want to screen out men who are emotionally attached and can versus can't walk away. The more you chase and the more you pursue, the more loss of respect happens. Therefore, if you do over pursue, you're going to actually decrease her attraction even more by failing this test. This is a different type of test, but this is purely to see if you're whipped. If you're a pansy ass and you became weak emotionally for her. So what it's going to look like is it's going to look like pullbacks from time to time. It's going to look like potentially bitchy behavior. It's going to look like that she's going to be testing to see if you're emotionally weak for her or not. If you guys are sleeping together, meaning maybe you guys spend the night together, she's going to see what happens if she turns away from you and if she acts rude or if she acts distant. If you're trying to all of a sudden, you need to cuddle, you need to hold hands, you need to have her lay with you. This is the shit that she's screening for. This means you're booty whipped. Okay, up here, shit tests. Once sex happens, till the day you die, the only thing you got to deal with is booty whip tests. The second you get booty whipped is the second she pulls back. This right here, okay, you can't see this probably on camera because I wrote it down low. Failing the booty whip tests, this is how guys go from alpha to beta. A woman can start off seeing you as an alpha confident guy that she wants to be with and that she wants to even sexually reproduce with, that she wants to consistently sleep with, that gets her hot for you. Okay, this is how guys end up going weak. What she's consistently doing as she's seeing if you're whipped or not is she's going to consistently test to see if you're weak for her and her beauty. You are weak for her and her sex. The second you go weak is the second that she shifts the perspective of you. From not being the type of guy who was confident, she now shifts the perspective of you, looking at you as a weak guy that she doesn't want to be around. This right here is how alphas slowly become not alphas. This is how alphas become beta. This is how you become a guy with beta tendencies and all of a sudden you're weak for the specific woman that you wanted. This is very important to learn and very important to understand because you see that Dr. Dre got a divorce. You see what happened with Steve Harvey. You saw what happened with Scottie Pippen. You saw what happened with Channing Tatum. You saw what happened with Jeff Bezos. You've seen tons of celebrities even who have high amounts of women who are after them. These are the same guys who go weak for women too, which means if you don't understand how the test to see if you're whipped or not happens, you're going to get hit with them and you're going to not even be able to see through them. So everything that a woman says, basically you got to know if her mouth is moving, she's probably lying to some degree. You got to be able to read between the lines and see what's actually going on. Women are extremely smart when it comes to the psychological and subconscious nuances to know if a man is going weak for her or not. So this is the repercussions if you, this is the repercussions if you do not get her weak emotionally. She's going to act rude. She's going to act distant. A woman is not designed to love you. And then you're going to be wondering what happened. Okay, now how? How do you get her emotionally weak? I wrote this in very small print because this is extremely complex and we're going to go through this at a slow pace. How to get the woman emotionally weak for you, okay, so that way she can actually want to cherish you, love you, submit to you, and be the type of woman who looks up to her man. What you have to do, okay, everything that I have highlighted in red is important. You have to consistently remove certainty. Certainty kills attraction. Certainty makes you boring. Certainty loses your mysterious power that you had in the beginning. You need to consistently remove certainty once her attachment has been built. So how do you do this? Well, there's a prerequisite to understanding how a high-value man moves. I want you to think of it this way. If you're a guy with celebrity access, let's say you're Drake, let's say you're Elon Musk, let's say you're Leonardo DiCaprio, you're Brad Pitt, you're a guy who Justin Bieber, you're a guy who a lot of women, Chris Brown, would be after. Think of those guys, okay? High-value men are hard to access time-wise. Not all women could go get access to them. You need to understand this first off. I don't care if you make $5 million a year and you have a lot of free time because you have passive income. The second your time becomes overly accessible, you're screwed. So high-value men are hard to access time-wise. The more time you spend with a woman, the less you become a mysterious option that she viewed in the beginning, the more she's going to want to start to close you off. High-value men are hard to access time-wise, but high-value men also have options so they feel no need to qualify to a woman. So, how do men start to qualify to women? Well, they do it by giving them certainty. You might be sitting here asking, well, Casey, what is certainty? Certainty equals you moving into feminine energy. The more you move into your feminine energy, the more she moves into her masculine energy, the quicker it is to the end of that relationship. So, what you have to know is women are very smart at picking up if men like them or not. Every emoji that you ever send, every double text that you ever hit, okay? Speed of reply on a Tuesday AM when you should be working or on tour if you're Chris Brown. You get what I'm trying to say? High-value men are hard to access. Every emoji, every double text, speed of reply on a Tuesday morning when you should be working or grinding or doing something else, okay? Picking up the phone on a first phone call on a first try. If she calls you at Wednesday at 3 p.m. when you should be doing something and you answer that, that's a shit test and you just failed. You're available. What you should do is you should ignore that. You should text her back in an hour or two. You should say, hey, I will call you at 7 when I'm free, period. The shorter you are, the more direct you are with your communication, the more you remove the need to overqualify. You get rid of the emojis, you get rid of the punctuation, you get rid of the exclamation marks, and you're direct with your communication. This signals to her that this is a guy on my level. Women do not want you to act like you are in your feminine energy 24/7. This makes them get moved off center and actually start to not trust you, trust your masculinity, or even like you to some degree. So all of these things that I just displayed shows the woman that there's signals that says, hey, I really like you. You see that emoji and that winky face you sent, or that blushy face, that kiss emoji, that good morning text, that check-in text, that good night, sleep tight baby text? That's the shit why she stops having sex with you. That's the shit that she does not like. That's the shit right there that makes you sitting there wondering why you have to go re-up and find a new girl. Then you talk to your mom about it, you talk to your dad about it, you talk to your priest or pastor about it, and they tell you, some things just aren't meant to be. Then you go get a new girl and you realize, some things aren't meant to be again. Then you go get a new girl and you think some things aren't meant to be. At some point, you got to understand this. If you've consistently lost women and they've displayed the same behavior, the issue is you, not them. The issue is you having to understand at some degree of deeper female nature, and guys chalk this up to fate. This is the part that pisses me off the most. Guys chalk this up to fate. They say, well, it wasn't meant to be. They say, well, maybe she's different. Maybe she wasn't the one. You got to understand that attraction is something that you cannot negotiate or you can't even logically process. This is a split-second decision that she made. You either turn her on or you don't. If you don't turn her on, this is why you're hit with these issues. Keep this in mind. Every text that you send that demonstrates this stuff, every phone call says, hey, I really like you. Women only really like you when you really don't like them, or when you really don't need them, or when you show that you're indifferent towards her beauty. And whether she calls you back or not doesn't piss you off, doesn't move you off center, you don't care. Because the second you show care is the second that you're screwed. And she may take sometimes 2, 4, 5 days. She might even take 2, 4, 5, 6 weeks, depending on if you guys were dating or not. If you show that you don't necessarily need the woman, that is the most attractive thing. The more you chase, the more you pursue, the more screwed you become. So women only really like you when you really don't like them. This signals high value. And then what happens is that you actually become the man that is worth looking up to. So I put down here, just elaborate. Basically, okay, here's what you gotta know. When it comes to the how do you gain the power, over that woman's emotions, or how do you make sure that you're demonstrating higher value? You do this by removing certainty, and you have a life outside of the woman. If you have a life outside of the woman, you don't feel the need to consistently keep seeing her. You don't feel the need to consistently keep setting up dates. You can see a girl for once or twice, go out on a couple dates. These are the types of women where if you don't talk to them for a couple months afterwards and then you randomly hit them up, she's going to be wondering, going, hey, I wonder what happened. Did a different girl come into that guy's life? Did a different girl come into the picture? This is the stuff that turns a woman on. You have to play the long game. Extend your time horizon with women. It's not a day-to-day split-second decision like it is for you. Men can pop a boner and we know if we're hot and heavy and turned on for that girl or not. Women need time. And time is the only thing that builds a woman's attraction. That's why to maintain your mystery and your charisma and your intrigue, it is important to carry yourself as a high-value man, because high-value men are hard to access time-wise. This is step-by-step exactly why women only want men that they can go weak for. If you like this video, I want you to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.